The sale of sex in Canada has been the subject of harsh criticism for years. Kathleen Martens, the reporter of So Many Picktons, joins us to discuss how serial killers like Robert Pickton and the demand for sex impact Indigenous women and girls. Kathleen, thanks so much for joining us. What was it like to report on this?
Hi, Brittany. Well, it was difficult. This was before I did the story before the national inquiry into missing and murdered women and girls. So the subject, which threw a light on the subject, but before that, police were still careful. So I considered it a coup to actually get a couple of Mounties on camera talking about their investigation. I also thought I did a pretty good job being able to get in the back of a van with some cops and a cameraman and get out on the street and see how they interact with vulnerable people. So it took a little bit of arm twisting, but not too much, and I think everyone in the end was happy with the result. Even police, they could see that showing them interacting with people on the street showed that they weren't immune to what was going on the street, that they were interested and serious about building a database and keeping a better, closer eye on women and girls.
You looked into why there are so many predators like Pickton in Canada. What did you find out?
Well, again, pre-inquiry, the subject was still pretty hush-hush, and voices of the street were not taken as seriously as they are now. I think we all learned from the Pickton case where people on the street said, there's a serial killer, and it was discounted by police. It took a newspaper reporter, actually, a dogged one, to keep reporting about it, and even then it was considered a bit of an outlier theory. That kind of information coming from the street, coming from people who work with people on the street, was not taken seriously by police. In the end, police had to apologize, but it's because of that disconnect between those groups, between who's being affected and who is then policing later, that gap is exploited by criminals.
So police have long been criticized for how they investigate missing and murdered cases. What do families and advocates say could help the situation?
Well, certainly a database like you saw in my piece there that K Division was building, with DNA and names of who's ever on the street, how long they've been there, how long they think they may be there. Also, what I mentioned earlier, the voices on the street, particularly Indigenous information and knowledge. Communities know which of their people are on the street, why they're there, how long they're there, what types of addictions and issues they're dealing with. And that information, I don't know, I think back then wasn't listened to. Now, that is being passed on certainly to patrol groups, these voluntary groups we see coming up across Canada that are also gathering intel and are able to pass that on. So I think what advocates really want to see, because they were the first to link the MMIWG issue and who's on the street trying to meet the demand for sex and being sex trafficked, they want to see partnerships between the police and the people on the street and who work with them and have that information. Again, it's about information and getting it into the hands of people who can keep it top of mind so that when a crime does occur, it's not considered just a one-off like the disappearances were on the downtown east side, and they weren't linked together.
Well, we'll have to leave the conversation there. Thank you so much, Kathleen.
Oh, you're very welcome. Sure.